Hey. Sorry about that. I apologize. Welcome to Gabbing the Games for the 24th of January. Good to see everybody. You know what's coming up a little bit later today? Fuck you, Nikki T says I still can't stick the landing. Listen, I'm an old man with no help. Fuck you. I really am kind of like an old man. I'm sitting here with my little comfy. I ordered a comfy the other day from the Shark Tank people. Look at that. It's cold here in San Diego. That's a rarity, my little friends. Listen, welcome to Gabbing the Games. 2:30 today, California time, Microsoft is doing their earnings call. So I was hoping to kind of time the show with that. I don't think we're going to actually be able to make that work. But if there's any big breaking news, we'll put the stream back on and talk about that, because I am very curious about how those folks are doing in Redmond. It's early for your Papa Jaffe, boys. All right. The comfy looks woke. Is it a woke thing? All right, let's focus. By the way, speaking of Shark Tank, if you've ever played, and I hope you have because it's great, if you've ever played Marvel Snap, the music in Marvel Snap needs to get sued by the people who wrote the music for Shark Tank, because when people walk into the Shark Tank and it's like dun dun all that shit, exactly the same fucking music. All right. So let's talk about video games, everybody. That was Alex Plux, by the way, at the top of the show, with his wonderful take on Quake Zone Rumble from Twisted Metal 2, a game near to my heart. I appreciate it, Alex, and I appreciate all your support over the years, buddy. Thank you very, very much. We're going to talk about Forespoken. We're going to talk about Jim Ryan actually pulling off a hell of a impressive feat. We got a lot to talk about. I do want to let you know at the very beginning of the show, in case you're out there looking for some ducats to save some ducats, there's a good deal happening at Best Buy right now. If you've been looking to pick up Callisto Protocol, which I would wait till Friday because we all know Dead Space Remake is coming out, and if that thing goes crackerjack in the Metacritic, everybody's going to be wanting to pick that up instead. But Callisto Protocol you can get for $50. Marvel Midnight Suns, which is one of the best games of last year. It's phenomenal. That's $50 at Best Buy. Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope is at $40. And you know as well as I that it's rare to see those first-party Nintendo games down at that level. So I'm going to be picking that up. Madden, NFL, whatever, $40. Go fuck yourself. I don't care. But anyway, that's happening right now at the Best Buy. Now, let us begin to talk about the console wars. No. The culture console wars, because shit's getting going. Shit's getting going out in the world. Before we even get to Forspoken, I want to talk about Hogwarts Legacy. Did you see this little story? Now, there's two interesting things about this. Reset Era, which you probably know, is one of the main forums out there. They broke, sorry, I'm trying to turn on my fan. They broke off from, what's that goddamn place? NeoGAF, which I'm still a member of over there. I still frequent that often. And they started their group, and it's much more kind of, I won't say progressive. I won't even say liberal. It's performative liberal. Let's put it that way. Over at the Reset Era. Well, these guys have decided that hello, I'm Thor. These guys have decided that they are going to ban any discussion of Hogwarts Legacy. Comes out February 10th. They've said, look, we've already gotten rid of all the promos. We won't support it. We won't run ads for it. Now, if you talk about it, you get yourself banned from that forum. Like that's a problem. Oh no, I can't post on Reset Era. I think you're not allowed to use my name over there either, which is really funny, given that politically I'm probably more aligned, at least realistically, with the bullshit performative alignment of those guys than I am with the NeoGAF guys. But that said, here's what they said. After continued internal discussion, we began to start outlining the issues put forth by J.K. Rowling. In the game in question, and each time as we discussed it, we kept coming back to the simple fact that Rowling is not only a bigot, but is actively pushing in her position as a wealthy and famous individual for legislation that will hurt trans people. That's true. That is true, to be fair. She uses her influence and money gained from her success to push transphobic legislation. So That's true. You can't deny that. She is actually behind the new bill that I believe recently was rejected by the UK government from the Scottish folks saying, hey, we want to make it easier for trans folks to legally change their birth certificate. And she's like, no way, so whatever. The mod team says Reset Era has decided to expand our prior ban on promotion for the Hogwarts game to include the game itself. There will be no official topic and no discussion of this game. This is a stupid forum. These people are fucking morons. I'm sorry. I actually agree with them politically about J.K. Rowling. I don't agree you should ban the game, but that's a different conversation. But I agree that she is not a great supporter of humanity in a lot of ways. Although, whatever. I don't want to get into it with you guys. You know how I feel. But these people are idiots. Let people talk about whatever the fuck they want to talk about. The statement ends with a warning to the community about either commenting on content ban decisions by the mod team. You can't even comment on the decisions by the mod team or advocating their overturn. As is standard for posts of this type, the threat does not allow replies. This was the surprising part. I'm looking at this from PC Gamer. I did not know this. Listen to this. Now, if this is true, I'm very surprised by this. Reset Era itself, says PC Gamer, is a forum set up as a breakaway from NeoGAF, which is still around, but has arguably been relegated in the pecking order. Based on what? I'm not saying they're wrong. Is it not a popular forum anymore? I thought it was still quite popular. And so perhaps unsurprisingly, NeoGAF is going all in on Hogwarts Legacy. At the time of writing, the top sticky thread on the gaming discussion section is a Hogwarts Legacy meme competition, while the top user thread is about the game's preloads going live. I didn't know NeoGAF was behind Reset Era in visits. That's disturbing. I mean, NeoGAF can still be a bit of a scum of a hive of scum and villainy, but it's not as bad as it used to be in terms of that. And Reset Era is a fucking, as a progressive, they're fucking nightmare echo chamber. I can't stand those fucking people over there. Okay. I miss when liberals advocated freedom of speech, says Jackie. Well, that's why I say I'm a real liberal. I absolutely support people's rights to say whatever the fuck they want to say, as long as it's not inciting violence. Okay. Spinning this into the culture wars, though, I got into a little bit of trouble. So Forespoken comes out today. I'm on the fence about it. It's sitting at, I think, a 60. What is it right now? It's sitting at a 68. I think it's even lower. Let me check. That was last night. 68 on Metacritic. Not terrible, but not what people expected. I was excited about it. I played the demo. I enjoyed the demo. And more than that, I have seen a number of people, not the least of which is a friend of our show, Gene Park, who I'm a big fan of, giving it an 8. The boys over at Easy Allies, who I don't listen to, but I know a lot of people on this show do, and they respect those folks over there. They gave it an 8. So it's not getting, slammed, and as much as some people suggest, and I enjoyed the demo. The problem is, I don't finish games, but I'm excited about this one because I hear, even if you ignore all the big bloated Ubisoft shit, the core game is 8 to 12 hours, and that has me pretty excited as well. So I'm probably going to prick it. I'm probably going to pick it up, but I'm going to wait until Dead Space to see sort of what the brouhaha is first. But I want to spend a little time talking about Forespoken and a variety of sort of stories that have come up around it. What do you mean, get well, Gene? Danny Sullivan in the chat says, get well, Gene. If you want cancer, he's beaten cancer. Now, I know there was a bunch of layoffs at the Washington Post where he works today, and hopefully he didn't get hit by that because he's the knees bees, man. If you're looking to pick up Forespoken, do yourself a favor and wait a month till it's probably 50% off. That's probably true. Probably true. And it's one of those things too that is like, if you buy a game, it's so crazy. When I was a kid, and I don't know if this is how you guys respond anymore, but when I was a kid and there was a toy or a game or something I wanted it, in February. And if I hadn't gotten it by March, I wanted it in March. But chances are, once the hype dies down on Forespoken and I get Dead Space, which I am going to get regardless, I probably won't even ever buy it. It's like Gotham Knights. There was a little window there where there was enough people talking about it, and I was curious enough about it that I was like, yeah, I'll pick it up when it's on sale. That window is closed. So I may never pick the fucking thing up, but I might. The demo was not too shabby. Yeah, Sebastian says he picked up Gotham Knights a month later and got 50% off. I have never seen Gotham Knights for 50% off. So, okay. Sebastian says, as I get older, I feel like I should start finishing more of my games. I kind of feel the same way. I really want to start finishing more games, but anyway, let's go to this thing. So I tweeted this out though. Here's what I tweeted. I just want to speak to this briefly. I tweeted out, I says, I'm inches from pulling the trigger on Forespoken at $70. Part of it is the good stuff I'm hearing from people who are playing it, and the fact I did enjoy the demo. The other part is I want to buy it despite the assholes who clearly don't like women, black people, or PlayStation. Now, the reason I want to talk about this briefly is that this has gotten some traction, nothing massive or anything, but as my life goes, there's a number of people pushing back on me because what they're trying to suggest I said was that the reason everybody is hating on Forespoken is because they're racist. And unfortunately, that's not what I wrote. I just read you what I wrote. I said, I want to buy it in part because I enjoyed the demo, and in part because I'm hearing people that are playing it say it's good. The other part is I want to buy it to spite the assholes. Now, again, I can't really spite them, but it's just more like a fuck you in a tweet. I'm not really sitting there buying it thinking I'm going to get at these people. But the other part is I want to spite the assholes who clearly don't like women, black people, or PlayStation. So did I mention race? Yes, as one of the 5 reasons I may want to buy it. I didn't say everyone complaining about it are complaining about it because they are secretly racist, but do I think that some of the energy and vitriol and just discussion about this game is happening because it is a lead female black character and it is on a PlayStation game versus an Xbox game? Yes, I do. And then people push back, well, I haven't seen anything written like that. Really? You can't read between the lines? So do you ever actually see somebody when they're shitting on Game Pass go, I don't really have an issue with Game Pass, I just like PlayStation and want Microsoft to lose? Or when someone's being a misogynist, do they own being a misogynist and say, well, here's the real fucking deal. The real fucking deal is women scare me. I don't really like them. I don't trust them and they don't want to fuck me. That's why I'm really upset about this game. No one talks like that. It's called subtext. So of course you're not seeing people overtly saying, I'm not playing Forespoken, or I'm shitting on Forespoken, or I am giving an unjust, given the success of what it looks like the game is going to have, amount of time and energy on the internet and in my writing to Forespoken because I'm a racist. They're not going to say that. They're not going to say that. See, this is what I'm saying. There's a guy in the chat named Gustavo. He says, and because it's a black female character, it should automatically be good. No, Gustavo, no. There is no one saying that. I want you to understand what you're doing, Gustavo, and everybody seated next to him. I want you to take a look at this guy and learn something. No one has said because it's a black female character, it should automatically be good. I am not buying it because I'm on the fence about how good it is and that I may not finish it. I'm not yelling at the 68 on the Metacritic. In fact, if you look at one of the guys, Game Rant, who is it who wrote this? This was really interesting because if you look at some of the lower reviews, they actually do match up with the way I feel about the demo, which I felt good about the demo. But a lot of the lower reviews say the combat is great, the magic system is great, the parkour is great. There's a bunch of stuff that's problematic, but no one is, I'm not shitting on the game, and I'm not saying the game is great. There are problems with it, clearly. But the idea of suggesting, Gustavo, that that because there's a black female character, it should automatically be good. No one said that. No one fucking said that. Just like I never said that the only people that are complaining about the game are racist. Why do you think it's so hard? Why is it so hard? For, you know, I mean, when you come to this show, you guys know me. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. I'm willing to admit when I have blinders on. I'm willing to admit when I don't understand something and go, oh, I appreciate you educating me. Don't fucking come to my fucking show and act like I'm one of these people that doesn't think more than 4 inches in front of his goddamn face. I never said it was a black character, so it should automatically be good. What are you out of your goddamn mind? Aquastorm says, when you blame race for failure, then you must also credit race for success. I didn't blame race for failure. I said that there are some people that are being unjustly or uncharacteristically vocally negative about this game compared to other games. And one of the couple of reasons it could be, or is that it's a black character. I didn't say the game succeeded or failed because of that. You're making shit up. You're literally making shit up to fit a narrative that has nothing to do with the person you're talking to. I wonder, do you do that if you go out to meet a woman at a bar? Do you do that and you're sitting there and you're like, hey, my name is Aquastorm. And she says, Aquastorm, that's really interesting. You know, I grew up by the beach. You fucking hate Donald Trump, says Aquastorm. And she's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This is all I'm fucking saying. That's all I'm fucking saying. But Jaffe says, Eric, don't you feel like you constantly look for something to complain leads you to look for racist subtext? I'm not looking for anything to complain about. I have some great things to trumpet later in the show today. This struck me as something relevant because here's what I would say. The strangest thing about this, to me, is I get why it's getting some more than normal conversation, because it is an exclusive, and of course the console war plays a part. Of course, that unfortunately is still a big thing on Twitter, and some people still care about that. And even if they're a vocal minority, they dominate the conversation. So of course that is a meaningful reason. Another meaningful reason is, you know, I don't know, that it's from the guys who made the last Final Fantasy, or Final Fantasy, whatever it was, remake, or what, or 13, I don't know what they did. They did some big Final Fantasy game. I get there are enough reasons that people would be talking about this a little bit more than they talked about, for example, Evil West, which was a great fucking game, by the way, when that came out. What I don't get, or why I'm searching, Eric, for some other reason, which includes console wars and racism and misogyny, is because people are spending a lot of time on this game talking about this fucking game. Right? People didn't talk about Callisto Protocol this much. And so in that, I start to go, oh, maybe something else is going on. Something else is going on. But see, that's not true, oh my God, B-O-B-O. He says this game's just bad. Occam's razor, meaning that the logical reason people are talking about it is because it's bad. But that's not true. There's a lot of games that come out that are bad that people talk about for 5 minutes and move on. Matty DeMarco says it's probably mainly console war, and could be true. I certainly attribute a big part of it to that. Listen, I want to get to this super chat that just came in. This comes in from Wonton Soup 2. He says it's really not thank you for the super chat, by the way, buddy. He says it's really not a conspiracy, Jaffe. The game is getting bad reviews. Also, many people, including me, played the demo, didn't like it. Aside from a few fanboys trolling, it's really that simple. Well, again, somebody disliking the game, I can appreciate. That's not the conspiracy. That's not the mystery. The mystery, to me, is why people are spending so much time on it. But, you know, but look, you know, there are other things going on with it. Maybe this is part of the reason why. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to answer this one more time. Masochista says, Jaffe, who is subtexting Forespoken? I legitimately want to see because I don't see it on my timeline. I literally just talked about this. I will say it very, very quickly one more time. I am not suggesting I can point you to tweets that say Forespoken is shit because I'm a racist misogynist who loves Xbox and hates PlayStation, right? You're not going to find that. The subtext is reflected in the fact that you're getting a game that is basically seemingly as forgettable as Ghostwire Tokyo, which came and went without anybody giving a shit for the most part, and nobody spent any time talking about it. So what? Yeah, yes, Dan. Dan says, so you see no racism, but you're still calling it racism. No, Daniel. I'm telling you that I see a lot of activity around a game that shouldn't be getting this level of activity based on what it is and based on how it was reviewed. And in that, I'm searching for answers as to why it is getting so much play on social media and the video game press. Racism is not the only reason, but it's one of the reasons, in my opinion, for that. As is misogyny, as is console warring. Jesus, Daniel. Yes, some people want to call in and talk about this? Sure. I'll turn on the red phone for a brief couple of minutes. If you have something to say, let me fire it up, fellas. Let me fire it up. God damn. It's like this is like in Nam when I parachuted into the soup with the boys. Whoo-wee, it was tough, but we emerged victorious. Well, America didn't, but me and the boys did. Okay. All right. But hey, seriously, joking aside, Wonton, I do appreciate that super chat, buddy. He's very generous, very kind. I'll tell you something else while I'm getting the, yeah, it's totally good morning, Vietnam, Matt. Listen to me. Before I bring on the red phone, I want to tell you about this. A couple more things going on with Forespoken. I don't know if you saw this, but Square Enix released a launch title for this. This is crazy. This is insane to me. They released a launch title for this game. You can find the story over on Kotaku. And this guy on TikTok, Derek Liao, went through the launch title, and it was one of those launch titles that has all of the quotes from reviews and stuff, like impressive, bold, exciting, fun, whatever. And he went through it, and the vast majority of these, none of them are from reviews. They're all from previews. And if you want to know how cherry-picked this is crazy. It says, in one example, Square Enix lifted the word beautiful from a preview in December, published at a site called Distractify. In context, the quote wasn't saying Forspoken was beautiful, but it had the potential to be a beautiful story-driven game. And then they just took the word beautiful and they put it on the poster like, this is what the critics are saying. How this is allowed, how this is legal, I don't fucking know. But you can go over to Kotaku and watch this. I'll show it to you right here. This
Forspoken launch trailer is kind of.
I'll just show you a couple seconds of it, and then I'll bring up the red phone. You guys can call in with the number. But let me just show you like a minute of this, just so you can get an idea. This is crazy. You might as well have said, I sat down to play Forspoken. While it was installing, I ate my beautiful lunch that my wife had packed in a bento box and made it look like Mario. Once the game was installed, I played it and hated it. And they just took out the word beautiful. Look at this.
Telling us that the game might not actually be that good. And here's how I know. The biggest red flag are these quotes, which are either 1 word long or 2 words long. Let's take a look at what the original quotes actually said. The quote that said beautiful in full context says, Forspoken has the potential to be a beautiful story-driven game that will pull your heartstrings with each new chapter. So it wasn't actually saying the game is beautiful, it says it has potential to be a beautiful story-driven game. Not a good start. All right, next up, PlayStation Lifestyle said endearing in something. Let's see what they said. She's not exactly a noble warrior at the outset, and that comes across as believably endearing as you see her cold facade gradually chip away as she warms up to a select few people in need. So they're not really...
Yeah, so they're not saying the game is endearing. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. And by the way, if nothing else, I would have thought these would come from reviews. But this is fucking previews they're pulling this shit from. It used to be, back when I was doing games back in the day, it used to be that you literally, previews almost meant nothing because the media would agree to go easy on you in the previews in order to gain access to your title, right? To get coverage. And so the idea that you would pull anything from a preview was really bad because no one expected, no one expects the preview to ever say anything negative for the most part. The most negative thing they used to say was like, well, there's this problem, but they still have time before the game ships in 3 weeks, So I don't fucking know. Darth Nugget says, kind of like Sony crediting the fake movie critic 20 years ago and using quotes on the posters. Yes, that actually absolutely did happen. Yes, indeed. They got slammed for it. And I don't think they do it anymore, obviously. Okay. I'm going to turn on the red phone. If you want to call and talk about some of this stuff, the number that you can call me at is on your phone, 619-752-0548. If someone else is on the line, don't call in or I'll just hang up on you. Be polite. I'm not going to do a lot of calls right now. I'll do a couple. And if there's still more people at the end of the show that want to keep talking, we can do those. And you can also call in on the Discord. Okay. While we're waiting for the first call, there you go, 619-752-0548. I want to tell you, I mean, a lot of, it's funny. A lot of people have been playing, laying into the dialogue for the game. Some of it's really cringy. Some of it's not. I think some of it's fucking funny. But that I think is just sort of like whatever. I'm not really, the one thing that story did, because I think it was, again, Gene Park saying, here's what he said. Here's a hot take, says Gene Park. Amy Hennig writing Forspoken, which she did, is not surprising to me because Uncharted had the same writing style. And he goes on to quote Nathan Drake talking about, we were almost in that when him and I forget what the woman was jump out of the building before it collapses. Uncharted's dialogue hasn't aged as well as y'all think, says Gene Park. What that really did for me was send me back to go, you know what? There's a bunch of fucking, look at this, nobody's calling in now. Look at that. Everybody's got a fucking big fucking mouth, a big fucking brave mouth until I put the phone line on there and then nobody picks up the goddamn telephone. Come on now. What it did do was it made me go, you know what I should do this year? I should go back and really play some classics or supposed classics that I've never played. I've never played more than an hour of Uncharted 2 because I just got busy, right? I have never spent more than an hour with Persona 5, is it? No, Persona Golden, whatever that one is. It just came out on Game Pass. I think this year I'm going to try to make this the year of games that of playing games that really I should have played. Well, we got ourselves a Mike Tyson, a little brave Mike Tyson in the show. Turn down your volume, buddy. Listen on your phone. Let's talk. What's up? Who's calling?
It's Ravnos. You're cutting in and out.
I'm cutting in and out?
Good?
I'm cutting in and out? No,
yeah.
You're cutting in and out. No, the leads are weak. The leads are weak. You're weak. Okay, go ahead. What's up, Ravnos?
Yeah, well, you were bitching that no one called in, so I figured I'd call and keep you company. I agree with you. There's not a lot of the overtly, it's a woman, it's go woke, go broke. But I literally saw the go woke, go broke stuff like a year ago when this was first announced. And like when that trailer came out that everybody got mad at, they're like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Look at this trailer. There was some of that. And you could see it now on YouTube. There's a lot of people, not so much that, but there's a lot of the Xbox stuff where it's like, oh, look, Sony fans are crying because Forspoken's getting bad reviews. So, yeah, there's a lot of the console war immature shit. But you know what I have seen in some of the reviews, which kind of shocked me, is the white liberal guilt stuff, where you have reviews talking about how one of the big problems with the story is they didn't lean in on the blackness and the female aspect of the character.
Well, that was Kotaku. Are you seeing that more than just Kotaku, or that's just Kotaku?
No, I didn't even see it on Kotaku. Then there must be 3. I saw it on Eurogamer did like 7 reasons why you shouldn't buy it or something like that. And it was done by a female who said, like, I'm a middle-aged white female. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And then there was another one that did it. God, was it GameSpot? I don't think it was IGN. It was, I think, GameSpot. It was one of the major outlets. During the review, the person was like, oh, one of the biggest like missed opportunities and things that makes the story bad is they didn't lean into the fact that Frey is a black female at all. And I'm like, what do they want him to do? Like, should she have been searching for magic fantasy tampons? Or should she have been like rapping? I don't get it.
Oh, I see.
I found that like more racist.
Well, okay, so a couple. Well, let me drill down on a couple things you're saying. The first one is, so Juan Garcia. Would you say Juan Garcia is just wrong? Where he in the chat says, in the beginning, nobody cared that it was a black girl as a main protagonist. You're saying you saw different things. You saw the Go Woke, Go Broke brigade.
I saw people saying Go Woke. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I'm not even referring to that, stuff, but no. Yeah. Okay. The other thing I will say that I did see, and I am in no position to sort of comment on it because I don't know, but I have seen some black people who are playing the game say on Twitter that it really sucks that this is Square's take on black representation, because I haven't played it yet, but it's like it starts that she's been arrested and she's in trouble and she's homeless and she's about to fall betwixt the cracks of society. And then there was that whole quote from a year ago where one of the creatives was like, we want her to walk all hippity hoppity and all this shit. And literally that was the quote. So, I mean, it certainly, it certainly has enough meat on the bone for that discussion, but that's sort of the opposite. That's a bunch of black folks playing the game and saying that we find this really a poor representation of our race and or our culture. But
I did see one black YouTuber, but he's kind of one of the fringe ones. He sort of leans a little right, but he did a video, and I can't remember his name. Damn it. But he was kind of mad at the reviews saying that it didn't play up the blackness, and he was just like, that's so virtue signaling. And I kind of agree. But I haven't played the game.
Look, I don't care if it played up the blackness or the femaleness or not. I'm just saying that, to act as if some of the vitriol and energy that's negative going towards this doesn't relate to that is moronic.
Yes.
It's moronic. It's the same. And the people who think that are the same people that were like, well, Obama was president, racism ended because Obama got to be president. I mean, shut up.
True.
Shut up, you idiot.
But you would agree that that's not the majority. That's not even a vocal minority.
I couldn't tell you the number, but certainly the number of people who are probably ignoring the game and have little, and I think most of the critics on giving it the 68 has nothing to do with any of that. I think there's just, it's a solid 7 out of 10 game, and people have been conditioned to think that's terrible. But honestly, to be fair, for $70, a 7 out of 10 doesn't cut it anymore. I mean, that's a totally different. No, it doesn't. Aaron in the chat's like, the game just sucks, man. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Is it game of the year? Clearly not.
No,
clearly not.
Here's what I've heard.
But the idea that the game just sucks, I'm sorry, it doesn't. No. It's fine. It's solid. It's got great navigation. It's got some really cool combat. I can't handle it anymore.
You watched some reviews, right? Did you watch some reviews or read them?
Yeah, I read them.
Here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing the story is kind of bland and kind of indicative of 90s anime.
I haven't even heard that. I have heard people who have played it and finished it say the story actually, once it gets going, is really pretty good. I've heard a number of people say that. Well, that's the other thing that
you hate about games. Here's the thing you hate. You hate when a game doesn't front load the content to draw you in.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing the most is, aside from the story and how a lot of people don't like the Frey character because she's so negative, is that they start you off with the rock power, which is the weakest and most boring run-of-the-mill generic magic for so long that a lot of people are just like, ugh, this game plays terrible, because they never bothered to even get past the rocks and the fire. Because I guess the later magics are really fun.
Yeah. Now
like
but Ravnos, now I'm getting bored of this conversation. I'm going to let you go. All right. Thank you, Ravnos.
Yep, okay, bye. Yep.
I love you, but I have ADD, and now you're starting to get into some weeds that are like, it's boring. Listen, here's what's happening on the chat though. Nitro says not every game needs to be a 9 out of 10. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But for $70, here's the problem, fellas and Filettis. The problem is that for 70 goddamn ducats, the competition is too stiff. It is too goddamn cockadoodie stiff. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to be giving a 7 out of 10 my $70. It's not going to happen. And that is a real problem. Because even games that are, games are free, of course, but service-based games and games that aren't service-based, but they keep adding content that are narrative single player. The window for getting a game anymore that really is a hit, I'll tell you, that's a tough fucking racket now. It is a goddamn tough fucking racket. Every game does need to be a 9 out of 10. Are you crazy, says Bukaki. Well, in this market, you may be right. I don't think every game needs to be a 9 out of 10 to be worth your time. But I think if you want to succeed, the competition is fierce and the market is oversaturated. And in that, I think if you're not a 9 out of 10, you better fucking be bringing something to the party that's unique, because otherwise you're going to be fucked. Okay. Let's move forward. Let's talk about Xbox. So Xbox tomorrow, I'll put on the red phone a little bit later if people want to call, but I'm going to shut it off for right now. Thank you for calling in, Ravnos. I appreciate it, buddy. I would call, says Scotty Woodford, but I'm working. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. We'll get you next time, man. No worries. Hope you're having a good time at work today. So tomorrow, and I will be streaming it, but I really don't care. But I don't care. But I care, but I don't care. Here's the point. Tomorrow, there is a developer direct from Xbox. Okay? Oh. Aaron Greenberg. It's not Aaron Greenberg's fault. Don't shoot the fucking messenger. But I'll be live streaming this. I think it's tomorrow at like 2:30 or something. I'll let you guys know later. But Greenberg emphasizes, who's one of the spokespeople over there, he's already said this once, but he's reiterating, keep your expectations in check. Don't expect too much from it. You're pretty much only going to hear about 4 titles. Forza, whatever the new one, the Simi one, Redfall, some Mojang Minecraft shit, and online Elder Scrolls. I'm reading this from Games Radar. This is what they say. It's easy to empathize with Greenberg's push for transparency from Xbox's end and setting expectations well before the showcase airs. No, it's not. I'm done with it. I am fucking done with it. I don't care anymore. You guys know I'm a champion of Phil Spencer's vision. I love Game Pass. I love what they're trying to do. Enough. And this is on the heels. Now, I don't have any proof of this fucking shit, but this is on the heels of a rumor that's being reported by WCCF Tech, whatever the fuck that stands for, that Perfect Dark is now in trouble. Perfect Dark apparently has had a bumpy road, according to the article, will release at least 1 year after Tomb Raider. Okay, so listen to this. It's a leak. We don't know if it's true. But Tomb Raider, not Tomb Raider, but the leaker is a fellow who likes to go by the name Miller Ross. Fucking idiot name. I'm kidding. I don't know. Who correctly mentioned Crystal Dynamics was about to halt any further development on Marvel Avengers. So he's got some decent, pedigree when it comes to leaking. But here's what he wrote over on Reset Era. He writes, Tomb Raider is full steam ahead, which is what Crystal Dynamics is also working on. Perfect Dark, I've heard, has hit a road bump or two. Gee, you think? You'll see the former before the latter. I would indeed expect at least a year. Hit a road bump or two. I mean, when is this going to end? When is this going to end? I mean, whatever. God damn. You're putting 4 games out. Now, there is a rumor that tomorrow Tango Gameworks is going to reveal at the show. The big surprise is something called Hi-Fi Rush. This is, Tango is now owned by Bethesda, they've been owned by Bethesda. Now they're owned by Microsoft. Their first party. Hi-Fi Rush is one of these games that, what's his name? Mikami of RE4 fame says, hey, I want to get away from survival horror. I want to make some smaller games. And so the rumor is that this is going to be released soon and it's going to be revealed tomorrow. And let me show you some screen grabs. I mean, again, these are leaks, right? These are leaks. So don't judge it, but judge it. I mean, look at this. It's just like, shut up. Shut up. I can't, I've tried to help them. I've tried to help, Microsoft by literally, I've given them names of people. I'm like, hey, go hire these 2 or 3 people. It'll be good for you. It'll work your shit out. My God, man, what's happening over there? Is it like a cover for the mob? And they're like, dude, we're trying to lose money on this so we can write it off and give it to, the mattress companies that launder all the, I mean, what the fuck is happening? How hard is this? Now, perfect, whatever. I'm not trying to do a bit. I'm not trying to be dramatic. No, we're not. Well, first off, Cody Lerner in the chat says, oh, we're judging concept art now? Yes, that's what concept art's for, to judge it. So the team gets excited, so the team knows what to build. What we're judging is not the quality of the art, although it looks relatively but we're judging, or I'm judging the fact that it looks like another just generic multiplayer fucking shooter. But that's what concept art is for. I'll tell you something, Cody, my good friend, my newest best friend. I remember like it was yesterday, Twisted Metal 2, and I have it back in the closet over there. I can bring it out sometime to show you guys. Was the piece of concept art that, like, if you look behind me, you see the concept art for LA for Twisted Metal 2 from Lee Wilson. I have the one from the Antarctica level where all the icebergs were collapsing. And I got up 5 times in the night when that hit me, that concept art came through FedEx, to look at it, because it was just so compelling to me. So the idea that we're judging concept art, yes, you're supposed to judge it. You're supposed to look at it and get excited. Now, again, this is leaked, so no one's excited about this. This might just be for the level artist going, look, here's the general layout. I get it. It paints a bigger picture. It just paints a bigger picture. It's just like, I am such a fan of Game Pass and what they're trying to do and the money that they're spending to make it work. And I have been so patient. Not that they owe me anything. I'm a customer. If I don't like it, I don't have to spend my money. But I've been so patient, and I've been so behind the vision. And it's like giving a toddler a fucking Ferrari. It's like, you just don't know how to drive it, man. It's a brilliant car, but you don't know how to drive it. Could you please give someone else the keys? Please. Fuck you, Nitro. I'm sorry, but if you haven't played the game yourself yet, then you have no right to judge it. Yes, I do. I have every fucking right in the world. You know why? Because fuck you is why. I have a right. It's here. Now, I'm not an idiot. I mean, if it's on Game Pass and I hear it's good, I'll play it. But don't fucking tell me I have no right to judge it. What does it even mean? It's here. It exists. I see it. I'm going to judge it. I don't owe you a fucking master's thesis on why this game has arrived where it has in the zeitgeist to the point that I feel it is now judgeable. You fucking maroon. Goodness gracious. Okay. Don't worry, says Venom Quest. Phil Spencer will do better when Xbox gets ownership of Activision. We'll see. We'll see. You know, the only thing that can make Hi-Fi Rush good is if they made this a black woman, because then they could be like Forespoken. Forget it. Forget it. Yeah, Jaffe has a Game of the Year award right there to you. Fuck you. Okay. Hi-Fi chick needs hair. Hair's hard to do, you know? All right, let's move on though. Let's move the fuck on. Let's talk about Jim Ryan. Now look, I am not a huge, massive fucking fan. Oh, before we talk about Jim Ryan, Nitro says, but it's true. How can you judge something you've never experienced? I'm judging the piece of art, and I'm judging based on you don't even need the 20 plus year career in video games, but a 20 plus year in video games, directing games and using concept art to do so. And the fact that I have eyes and a brain, so I'm judging the concept art, allows me to form an opinion. Now, am I going to fucking say that opinion will not waver? No, of course not. Of course, it's a piece of concept art. I'm not an idiot, but I'm judging what's there. Come on now. Look, what I can tell you is I don't know you all that well. I only have a couple of texts, Nitro, to go on, but I'm definitely judging you, and that's just on some letters you've written. Alexa, did you hear what I said to Nitro? Alexa? Okay, listen. I want to show you this before we talk about Jimmy Ryan and where he's actually doing some good work. I'm pretty impressed by this guy. Have you been to Google today? If you go to Google today, this is pretty good marketing. If you go to Google today and you type The Last of Us in, a little mushroom appears down here. If you're listening and not watching, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But if you're watching and you click the mushroom, and believe you me, I sat here for about 20 minutes today and just kept clicking it to see how far it would go. It doesn't seem to stop. I kind of assumed at the end there would be an ad for The Last of Us, but and maybe there is, but I clicked it for 20 fucking minutes. And it just keeps doing this, but it's pretty cool. Just wanted to share that in case you were just curious. Let's talk about Jim Ryan. Let's talk about Jimmy Ryan. Now, this relates to The Last of Us, and this is not genius level executiving, but boy, they got to be feeling pretty good over at PlayStation right now. Okay. Because, and I don't mean because PlayStation Productions, listen to this. So, you know, probably that The Last of Us episode 1 has done brilliantly with reviews and with viewers, right? But think about this. They released numbers today that said that it's up. Episode 1 is tracking to 18 million viewers. That's 4 times the premiere night, meaning people who are streaming it after the fact. Basically, I guess they still track DVRs, but it's mostly streaming after the fact. So many people are watching it that episode 1 is now at 18 million views. Now, the even more impressive number is the 4.7 million viewers that watched the series premiere. The second episode, directed by Neil Druckmann himself, brought in 5.7 million viewers. So they say that it is the largest second week audience growth for an HBO drama in the history of that fucking network. Okay. Now I will tell you, I loved the pilot. I thought the second episode was really well done, but it felt to me very much like a good episode of The Walking Dead, which is nothing to sneeze at, but it didn't feel as compelling as the first one. So I'm curious if that trend is going to continue, or a lot of folks are going to be like, I'm going to peel off. But I don't know. We'll see. But I love the series so far. I'm a big fan. But that's not the main story. Mutant Mo says, wheel Jimbo Ryan out. We haven't seen him in a minute. I got to get that puppet back. It's on my other hard drive, but I will. He'll visit soon. But here's the real story. Here's the real fucking story, which I think is super impressive. Oh, I agree, Fupy. Druckmann's directing seems solid for a first episode. Oh yeah. I mean, end of the day, whatever you feel about Druckmann, and I'm, like I've said before, I'm hit or miss on the guy depending on what game we're talking about. That second episode was directed really well, especially when you consider I don't think he's ever directed television or long form narrative before. I mean, there were sequences in that show, like the museum sequence, that were really tense. And if Druckmann was like, you know what, I want to use this as a calling card to go get a horror movie at Blumhouse, he could do it. Because that second episode was more assured than a lot of Blumhouse directors coming out with their stuff. So, not that he's like, Blumhouse, fuck you. I want to fucking, go to Universal and make Oscar movies. But that said, though, yeah, it was really well done. It was really, really well done. But Nitro says the show is a 7 out of 10 at best so far. It's good, but not great. I will tell you, I thought the pilot was a 9.5. I thought the second episode was like a 7.5. So the only reason I mentioned Blumhouse, though, is because the stuff that really stood out to me that he did really well seemed to be the tense horror stuff. And that's obviously what Blumhouse makes a lot of. Unlike a lot of people in the chat are I'm going to get to the Jim Ryan thing in a second. A lot of people in the chat are raving about the clickers. I will say I did not like the clickers. I thought the clickers looked like, I know we all love practical effects. I certainly do. But I thought the clickers looked, like guys in suits. They almost kind of look like the visuals of the clickers look good, but they look like guys in suits, like at Not Scary Farm. Like it's like, okay, I want you to move really weird, and it's like some guy who's into not gymnastics, but like body contortion and shit. It's like it's as good as you can do without computers. I know in Prey, the movie Prey with Predator had the same fucking problem. Somebody's saying Alien had the same problem. Guys in suits are better than CG, Ravnos, but I think that you need there was something they did, and this wasn't CG. This was just sort of a digital speed ramp in the first episode. Didn't they do something where one of the clickers or one of the zombies or whatever sat up really fast? They need, in my opinion, what do I know? But in my opinion, I think the movement right now is a little dorky. Like the art of the clicker is not dorky, but the way they move is kind of, it's clear it's just a guy in a suit. And I think they need a little bit of lock and pop or something going on with the speed ramping on just that character when the characters are moving to give it a little bit more monstrous unreality versus a guy who's wearing a mask from the Halloween store. But, it is what it is. Prince Green says, how did you not like the clickers? I liked them. I liked the way they looked. I didn't like the movement. That's all I'm saying. Kevin Peter Hall in Predator was awesome. I don't know about Predator. I'm just telling you that in Prey, the guy looked like a guy in a suit. There was a scene in that movie. This is the one set back in Native America, indigenous people time. Good movie, really good movie. But there's a scene in that movie where the Predator is silhouetted against the opening of a cave and he stands up. I think it's like when he's getting a scent or something. And it's like, you look like a guy in a Halloween costume. Okay. Well, I don't really care. Cass Coder says if they speed up the clicker, it's not authentic to the game and makes them too close to runners. I don't care. It means nothing to me. First Sizzle says they don't move that way. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Ellie in the game doesn't look like Ellie in the show. So what? I would not have wanted it in CG. I would have wanted the clicker to have some effects on him to push the motion to a more extreme level. That's all I'm fucking saying. Brett Morris says, I like your take on Last of Us because you never finished the game. My enjoyment is colored by having played the game. Well, what I'll tell you is that's really what the main story is I want to talk about here, though. Because you got to give Jim Ryan props, if for no other reason than following and having now look, maybe we have to give Michael Mumbauer props. I don't know who gets the props, but the fact of the matter is, to no one's surprise, certainly after watching what happened with The Witcher and even Cyberpunk, the games are flying off the shelves. The games are flying off the shelves. If you look, this again was from Gene. I was reading a bunch of Gene Park yesterday. If you look at Gene's tweet from last night, The Last of Us Part 2 and Part Remastered are at the top of the best-selling PlayStation 4 games on Amazon. I am very eager to go back now because I like the show so much and play The Last of Us on PS5. But then I looked at the charts on the PS5 and it wasn't even in the top 50. But a lot of people buy digital now on PS5. And frankly, if you own a PS5, you've probably already owned The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. And so it's not a thing. However, if you do go over to the top games in your country on the PSN store, as of last night, The Last of Us Part 1, which was the remake for PS5 specifically, has now moved its way into the top 10. So whether or not that's Ryan, I mean, Mumbauer, I don't think knew about the show back then. And I don't know if it was a happy accident or they dovetailed it beautifully into the show and the game being available almost brand new right when the show came out. But it seems to be working regardless. Ravno says the top 10 games paid to be promoted. The top 10 games in your country are paying to be promoted. So Rockstar is paying to be. I don't know if that's true. You could be right. If you have any evidence of that, please send me a link. I would like to see that. That would be really unfortunate to discover. If Sony is smart, says Albania, expect Last of Us 1 bundles. Right. B.O. says Jaffe likes Last of Us 2 better than 1. I do. But because I enjoyed the show so much and because there's this up-res version, I kind of want to play it now again. I only got to the State House, which is kind of ironically where they are in the TV show. And I liked it, but I found it kind of ponderous. You know, it's just like, whatever. It seemed a little pretentious. I didn't have that problem with 2. But now that it's like people are saying Tess's outcome in The Last of Us, the game, is more dramatic and exciting than the one in the show and all that, I want to be able to play it. So I'll give, fuck you, Hollow. You, Jaffe, another bad opinion. Fuck you, bitch. And I'm so tired of that. What's the bad opinion? That I like something that you don't? Oh my God, this generation's driving me fucking crazy. That's a bad take. I've decided that's a bad take. You've been ratioed. Okay. All right, let's move on. But good for Jim Ryan. Good for Sony. Good for Sony. God damn it, Xbox. What are you doing? Go over and steal some Sony people. You got the fucking money. Take some of that. At this point, I would tell you that Microsoft's money is better spent at this point if you just pull out of the Activision deal entirely and just take some of that money and steal Shannon Studd still. Steal Scott Rhodey. Steal Connie Booth. Steal Grady Hunt. Steal Shuhei Yoshida. Bring these fucking people to your neck of the woods. Give them the freedom they need to turn your stupid fucking sinking ship around. How is this hard? How is this hard? I'm not high at all. I have no problem being high. I was high the other night, but I'm not high right now. Okay. Yeah, Monster Hunter Rise is on Game Pass now. That's right. People seem to like it. Okay, give me a second. Let me settle. We're going to move on to a different topic. I have to get a little meditation going. If you're listening and you're like, what? Matt DeMarco says, I hear Yuji Naka's available. That's right. Okay. If you're listening and not watching, oh, fuck you. Bacon Magma. 70% of Jaffe takes is bad. Okay, forget the English of that, but 70% of Jaffe's takes are bad. They're not bad. They're just not what you think. I'm sorry you think in the box. I'm sorry you're a conformist. I'm sorry that you were raised to follow the herd, even at your own assured demise. What I will tell you is I am 51. I've been playing these goddamn games longer than most y'all been alive. I've been making these games, and most of y'all never made a goddamn game in your life. And it's an opinion. It's an opinion. There's no bad take, good take, you fucking moron. You fucking moron. Okay. Let me meditate. I'm going to take 8 seconds. I'm going to be very silent. I'm genuinely not fucking with you. It's not a bit. I just need to recenter, and then we will move on to topics. If you're listening, focus on your driving or whatever. Here we go. Okay. I'm not picturing anything. Ravenous says he's picturing kittens. No. When you meditate, you just got to focus on that out breath going out and try to get all of your thoughts to go away. Let's talk about Carolyn. This is interesting. Carolyn, we talked about this a couple of episodes ago. She is the woman who was a social media manager for Limited Run Games. There was a woman who had issues with her, who found some tweets in the past where she was talking about trans women going into women's bathrooms. And she also followed people on Twitter that a lot of people say are problematic and controversial and far right. Okay. So this was brought to the attention of her bosses and they fired her. I reached out to Limited Run, some of the guys over there I know, and they said, well, it's not all that's being reported is kind of not exactly what is going on and all this stuff. And that's all they could say. So the image that people were left with, though, and it certainly has not been a good image for Limited Run, is that this woman was, quote, canceled because the woke brigade came in and said, we don't like her. And I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and say that I was saying there has to have been a history with this woman, and this was the final straw. I don't know. We still don't know, but she did release, she was going to make a video. Here's what she said. She says, I'm not angry, but I'm hurt. I admit that I have tried to film this a few different times, but my feelings got the best of me. I had trouble getting through it without crying. So here we are. And so she basically did a Twitter, a long twit longer. And I want to just read you a little bit of what she said, because it is interesting. So she got told that there would be a phone call when she went in, or she woke up to a message saying, hey, you need to be on this phone call. Nobody was talking to her all day. She gets on the call with her bosses. She says, in the call that happened at the end of the day, there were a lot of emotions. I'm paraphrasing. You can find this on her account. I could tell they didn't want to do what they were doing, and even said they didn't want to. They were being pressured from elsewhere. It's up on the screen if you want to see it. They were being pressured from elsewhere. And elsewhere, I'm assuming, is the company that has just acquired Limited Run Games, which is the Embracer company, which owns probably the biggest publisher in games right now. They own everything almost. Well, you know what I'm saying? A lot. Okay. From what I was told, there were no other options being presented. They are providing me with a decent severance and letting me keep my health insurance for a few more months. I had never been written up or reprimanded. So if that's true, my theory of maybe this was the final straw goes out the window. I've never abused my power or personal opinions on the various social channels. Meaning the ones that she got paid to monitor and contribute to. I even refrain from commenting or interacting with any political content or controversial topics on my personal media accounts, which shouldn't be required, but there you go. She even did that. This one isolated incident was apparently all it took, which was years ago, before she started working at this company. At least that is what I have been led to believe. If there was another reason, I was not informed. They didn't want the bad publicity, and I can understand that. Unfortunately, I feel like that backfired on them. I think that's true. A common question I keep getting asked is if I'll be taking legal action against Limited Run. No, I will not. North Carolina is an at-will state, and companies are able to fire anyone for any reason or for no reason at all. Unless, of course, they're firing them for legally protected reasons. But I don't think this falls under that. If you look at like the 8 key reasons that you can push back in court on a at-will state termination, it's things like, age and race, sex, things like this doesn't really fit into that unless you're a really clever lawyer that can somehow squeeze this scenario into one of those phrases and then convince a jury that indeed she was fired because limited run games broke the law. But it seems like she's been given counsel that that's not going to fly. So North Carolina is an at-will state. I still have a special place in my heart for LRG. They were my first step into the games biz, and I am thankful for that. I still consider many people that are my friends and wish them well. Josh and Douglas, who have been on this show before, I like those guys a great deal. They founded the company, fought to make sure I was taken care of. Please stop attacking Josh and Doug in a personal manner. They don't deserve the harassment, and I have no ill will towards them. And then she just goes on to sort of explain her political philosophy and philosophy about trans folks and whatnot, which is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But if you were curious, it does sound like it was it took one moment. It took one moment in one tweet to kind of, wreck this woman's current job or former job. And you know what I look at, and there's got to be a point where a company eventually is going to, you can be woke and logical, right? I'm woke. I'm proud that I'm woke. I'd rather be woke than asleep. I'm proud that I'm progressive. I'm proud that I'm very liberal. But I'm also genuine about it. I genuinely think people deserve to think and express whatever they want as long as people don't get hurt by it. Okay, so I don't agree with this. So here's what I'll tell you. If it were me and I was running Embracer, because I guess it sounds like Josh and Douglas from LRG didn't have a say in this because now they've been bought. I guess it was worth it. I don't mean that like judgy. I mean, but that's what happens when you get bought. It's, you got to start answering to people in ways sometimes you don't like. But if it were me, I would have put out a statement that said, look, in limited run games or Embracer or whatever, we support and have always supported diverse views and opinions. We support the LGBT community, the trans community, whatever. As a show of good faith, we're donating $5,000 to the this, that, or the other. But what we're not going to do is fire someone who has personal opinions that they do not bring into work and let affect their work. That seems to go up against another thing that we believe strongly in, which is freedom of thought and freedom of expression. Not even freedom of expression, because she didn't do it at work. Just freedom of thought and freedom to think what you want. That's what I would have done. Okay. She goes on though to say, fuck you, Morgan. Morgan says, I'm not very progressive. I love company power. I don't love company power. People don't listen. Who would you rather, let me ask you a question, Morgan. I'm going to get to this in a second. Who would you rather have in your camp if you're going to war? Would you like a guy who respects the enemy and in terms of their danger of the enemy, respects the danger of the enemy, and takes the time to go, what is really our best way to deal with them? Or would you rather have someone who's like, yeah, everything, they suck and they're dumb and they're idiots, we'll just kill them all? You'd probably want the former. It's not that I respect the corporations. It's not that I support the corporations. It's that if you're going to go to war with these guys, you better know what the fuck you're fighting for and how you need to fight them. Anybody who watches my stream to say I am pro-capitalism is a fucking idiot. I am not pro-capitalism. It's not the way it's practiced, certainly these days. Zippy, thank you for the super chat. He says, loving the Last of Us TV show. I'm currently working on the Fallout show that will be on Amazon Prime, and it's coming together well. The sets are incredible. Nice. Well, first off, thank you for the super chat, buddy. And second off, can you say anything else? What are you doing on the show? What are you building the sets? I've seen some stuff they released or leaked, and the sets do look really, really cool. But thank you for that super chat. And thanks for watching, bud. Tripster says, Jaffe, you are pro-capitalism. Again, there are parts of capitalism I like, but there's a lot of it I think that's worse the good that it brings. Okay. Anyway, here's the point. What I will say in defense of the cancel brigade is this, and I don't know if I even agree with this, but there's something I don't agree with when it comes to what this woman who was fired, Carol Lynn, says. She says, okay. She says, if we could take one thing from this situation, it would to be bring to light the dangers of cancel culture. I have always been opposed to it and have voiced my disagreement with how it's handled. It can be hurtful to all parties. If you don't like something, vote with your wallet and move along. So, I struggle a little bit with that one, right? Because I think that's absolutely right, but it's spoken. That logic is shared and expressed and believed in and spoken by a person who clearly has some privilege in the culture, because it reminds me of like when, you hear about guerrilla warfare and then big bad militaries, whether it's the current American army or back in the American Revolution when we used guerrilla warfare to defeat the British. And it was like, hey, they're not fighting right. When you're a group that is shit upon all the time and you don't have the resources to combat the enemy the way they combat you, it's a little lame when the enemy's like, well, let me give you the list of the ways where it is appropriate and classy to fight. But if you do this, that's not classy, that's not good. And I imagine if I was a member of one of these marginalized, put upon, endangered communities, I would say, well, you know what? We've been voting with our wallet for 100 years. We're still getting killed. We're still getting shamed. We're still being told we're losers and we're not welcome. We're still being threatened. So we're going to try something else. And I don't necessarily agree or disagree. I think it's a little too simple to say, oh, just vote with your wallet and move along. That's all I would say. All right, Ravnos, good to see you, buddy. We'll see you later. Okay. Sad says, I am voting with my wallet on the game Forspoken. $70 will be saved for a game that is good. Cool. Hello, Andre. Always good to see you, buddy. Venom. No, Venom, are you dumb? Are you dumb? Venom says, Jaffe, your politics get in the way of seeing the woman was unfairly fired. You don't realize this, but you're a little bit misogynistic. I literally said, if I was this company, I would say, we're not firing her. We'll donate some money because we agree with what the person who pushed on her that got her fired in the real world said, which is we do support LGBT folks. We do support other folks, blah, blah, blah. But we're also supporting people who have an opinion that doesn't have to line up with yours. And as long as she doesn't bring it into the office and put it on our websites as our social media creator, who gives a shit? She can live her fucking life. Don't fucking tell me I support her being fired, you moron. What are you talking about? Still, you blame her take about not being, I don't know what that means. Zippy says the leaks have been so bad on the Fallout series, the amount of drones we've had to deal with. Dude, let me tell you something. I don't know if you guys know this. I was doing some research a couple of months back for a game. And I was doing some research on drones. And if you Google this, I don't think a television production group can get these. I think it's just military. But I was doing some research on the drones and I was amazed that they have a drone. I have to have talked about this before, but it was so impressive. It's about this big. It's about the size of like a 3-ring binder, a little bigger, and it's just a big fucking brick of just a big piece of metal. I don't know it's real heavy. And all it knows how to do is fly upward and track an enemy quickly. And so they're designed to knock drones out of the sky. So they're drones designed to knock drones out of the sky. So if you watch the videos on YouTube, it's really dramatic and violent when you see a drone up there doing recon, and suddenly this thing comes up from the bottom of the screen and just whacks it. And it's like, you know, Tyson punching somebody back in the late 80s. It's just like pulverizes it in midair. It's awesome. It's fucking awesome. So maybe you guys should get some of those. That's a tangent, and welcome to my tangent. Okay. I want to talk about this. Speaking of limited run games, I'm not boycotting Hogwarts, Bacon Magma. Bacon Magma says, Jaffe, Hogwarts is on the major 3 gaming platforms. You said you're boycotting the game, but why aren't you boycotting the platforms? I'm not boycotting the game. I'm just choosing not to buy it because I don't like J.K. Rowling. That's it. Why do that, says Eric. There's weapons that can steal control from drones. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. The military clearly is up against some drones that can't do. I don't know. Okay, well, okay, if that's boycotting the game, well, boycotting the game means that there is like I want to build a movement around it. Like that everyone should do I'm not doing that. I'm just not buying it because I don't like the lady. But I do like PlayStation. You know, so, okay. Listen, let me switch gears for a minute. It's totally fine. Dave says, I'll buy 2 copies of Hogwarts to make up for you not buying it. Great. I don't know what you guys want me to say. Jake's like, you announced you're not buying it. I don't care. I'm not, look, I don't know how much more honest I can be with you guys. I'm not buying it because I don't like the woman and I don't want her shit in my house and I don't want to support her. If you want to buy 20 copies, go buy 20 copies. The fuck do I care? Listen. Limited run games. Josh over there. He tweets this out yesterday. He said he's showing a picture of Metal Warriors, which was an old Super Nintendo game. Okay. The box is in terrible shape, he says, but I finally completed my copy of Metal Warriors on a budget. This is an awesome SNES game from the devs of one of the best SNES games ever, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, that has become absurdly valuable and sought after over the years. Okay, now listen, if you haven't seen Metal Warriors, the magic is in the split screen. Now, this was before internet, right? So, you know, go easy on it. But it was basically these mechs, and you could get out of the mechs, and you were a little teeny person, and you could get in other mechs and vehicles, and it was, you know, it was 1v1 combat, and it was absolutely addictive. It was absolutely fun. And I bring it up because hey, you should seek it out. It's really good. There's also a single player version, which I never played, but I played the multiplayer obsessively because this is one of those games that we had the chance at Sony to publish, and the test department was obsessed with this fucking game. And the assistant producers, we would play the fuck out of this game at lunch, right? And we kept telling Sony, they're like, should we publish it? And we were like, you goddamn right, we should publish it. This is fucking awesome. And for some reason they didn't. And it just got me thinking of some of the other stuff that we had a chance to publish and we didn't. Because my buddy in college was friends with this guy who worked over at Bandai. This was around 93. He comes over to our place one weekend and he's got this bag of videotapes. He says, Jaffe, watch these. And it was the first edits of the English version of season 1 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I said, this is ridiculously stupid, but it's awesome. And he said, yeah, we think it's going to be the next big thing. I said, it's like Saved by the Bell meets really bad Godzilla movies. He's like, exactly. So I go to my bosses at Sony and I say, guys, we should meet with Bandai. We should license this. They don't have anybody licensing their video games. We can make a lot of money. I think this is going to hit. And they looked at it and they were just like, what? This is stupid. Nope. It's just, I mean, I'm not saying Sony was rare. Everybody has those stories of shit they passed on, and you look back and you're like, oh my God, I was at fault. I don't know if I was at fault. I'm not saying Kelly Flock listened to me only. Of course, that's not the case. But when he was running 989, he brings me into his office and he says, hey, play this. I want to know what you think. And I passed on Driver. It was Driver, like Eric said. I played it and I said, I love the idea, but why would I want to be chased? Because I can't really see what's happening behind me. I'd rather it be like Chase HQ. Now, I don't know how much of that influenced Sony not passing on it or passing on it, but they did pass on it. So, I mean, I've screwed the pooch as well. But it was interesting to see limited run games tweeting about Metal Warriors. I assume you can get this on emulation, but boy, it's good people. It's a really good fucking video game. Highly, highly recommend it. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, I want to talk about this briefly. This is interesting for a couple of reasons. So Microsoft has subpoenaed Sony because, as you know, the FTC is basically going to court to stop Microsoft, to try to stop Microsoft from acquiring Activision. And apparently Microsoft has subpoenaed Sony to get information about the scope of Sony's games, because Sony in the past has used the excuse that they will lose money from Activision Blizzard if they become a Microsoft exclusive or a company, not Call of Duty, but just the games in general. It would be felt in future console generations like PS6, and it wasn't in a position to make a substantial first-party competitor to Call of Duty. This is what's happening over at GameDeveloper.com. So Microsoft is like, well, Sony keeps saying that, but we don't believe that. So we're subpoenaing, which is, I'm sure you know, it means legally they're going to respond to the subpoena this Friday, whether they're going to deal with it or what they're going to do or try to challenge it. But legally, they have to provide this information to help Microsoft in their case against the FTC. So I'm just interested because I am very curious how much of what Sony's been saying is horseshit. Because how in the world are you going to prove that they can't make a substantial first-party competitor? Are they going to be like, well, we don't have anybody, including Guerrilla, because have you seen Killzone 2? That was the best we ever did, and that didn't do well. Like, I wonder what revelatory data is going to drop if they agree to go with the subpoena. But in that, it reminds me of another story from a few weeks ago that I was going to bring you, but I forgot to talk about. But if you're curious how much money AAA games cost, and this was a relatively inexpensive one, in the filings of the quarterly reports for the company that owns Striking Distance, Crafton, who also owns PUBG and whatnot, they had to reveal how much it costs to make CALISTO. I don't know why they have to reveal it, but we don't have that data from other publishers. For whatever reason, they revealed it. In American dollars, Callisto Protocol took $161 million to make, which is really small for a AAA game these days. What's fascinating to me is, you know, I know some people, some very good people, and I'm sure they're going to get more, who launched a AAA company with funding, and they're like, we're going to make a AAA game, and we have the money. We have $100 million. And in my head, I'm going, you're not going to make $100 million AAA game. And then you see it right here. Callisto can't even make it for $161 million. I'm not saying that it wasn't a AAA game in terms of production value, but it wasn't long enough, according to a lot of people. It clearly didn't spend enough time in the oven, didn't have enough variety, blah, blah, blah. So if you're curious, I would say that's the low end of mid when it comes to AAA games as it sits and stands right now. I want to tell you two things. Let me just tell you two fucking things. I'll get into details later or tomorrow. if you ever played the SteamWorld games, they're not hit or miss in terms of quality. But like I love the traditional SteamWorld games, which are like Dig Dug with resources. Some of the other ones like RPG I didn't care about. Well, they just announced their new one, which is a city building one, and it looks pretty cool because what's happening is you've got this Sim City-like game above the ground, but in order to get your resources to build all your shit, you have I believe it's that you have the arcade version of the game under the ground. So you actually do have to go underground to get all the stuff and play a proper SteamWorld Dig game. But then you get to come back to it above ground and actually build this shit. So I love these games. I love the quality of these games is fantastic. So I just want to let you know this was just announced. Keep an eye out for it if you like these games. The other thing that was just announced today, it's not Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress Underground. Dwarf Fortress is a over-the-shoulder third-person kind of shooter, isn't it? Look at this though. You guys know I love Desperadoes 3. I love Shadow Tactics. I had the creative director on the show last year and a half talking about Desperadoes 3. Look at this. They just announced their new game. It is called what are they calling this thing? It is Shadow Gambit: The Cursed Crew. It's supernatural pirate meets commandos. Okay, so I'm not going to show you the whole thing right now. It's a long deep dive. I'll probably do another video on it. But if you like things like Desperados, if you like things like Commandos or Jagged Alliance, these people are the absolute best of the goddamn best working right now in this genre. So highly recommended. You play Shadow Tactics. More recommended you play Desperados 3. But this one looks awesome because all the crazy powers your individual pirates have, it's the shit. It's the fucking shit. So I was excited that was announced. I'll probably see if I can get them back on the show as we get closer to release and have them talk about it a little bit. Okay. Jaffe, would you ever consider going back into games and find an indie studio with the spiritual successor to Twisted with a Kickstarter? Probably not. No. I don't have any ideas for Twisted Metal that really could be meaningful. I could probably spend a little bit of valuable time in a meeting with someone, and then after the meeting, maybe they would go, okay, we got some good ideas. But short of that, I have nothing to offer. I don't know what to do to make that series or that genre relevant for today's audiences. So I am toying with a new horror game right now, though. So we'll see if that gets made. You never know. Oh, I think I'm thinking of, is it Deep Rock Galactic? I'm thinking of one of those co-op games. $161 million did not go into marketing. My understanding is that was just for production of the game. So here's what we'll do now. That's all the topics we're going to deal with for today. I'll do some chat. I'll do some Red Phone. I'll do some Discord. If you guys want to call in on the Discord or your cell phone, give me a shout. If you want to talk in the chat, we can do that for a little bit. And then I'm going to head off and prep. I don't know if I'm going to have the energy to do an I Love the Weird tonight, but I've got it all prepped. So I might do one tonight, or I might just make some videos. We'll see. So let me know. I'm here for a little bit if you want to chat. Random chat, whatever you want to talk about. Xbox earnings is coming up at 2:30. That's soon. But the thing is, it's not just Oh, they already dropped? Oh, shit. Wait. Stream ain't over, baby. The Xbox earnings. You know I want to see that. Hang on. All right, let's see what's going on. Xbox. I thought that wasn't until 2:30. Okay, good. Xbox earning call. I don't see it anywhere. 50 minutes ago. Okay, no, they're saying they will hold. Where are you seeing this data? Where are you seeing it, Carlos? Jim Ryan's a director, Black Rose? I never said he was a director. Oh, Benji Sales. All right, let's go to Benji. I should have Benji on the show. I don't know him, but he follows me and I follow him, which at least I could reach out to the guy and say, what's up, Benji Sales? Let's bring him on. First, let's see what he's saying. Okay, let's go to Benji's page. I'll bring this up in a second. Okay, Benji. Here's what he has to say. I'll look at the chat in a second. I'm not reading it right now because I'm reading this for the first time. Benji Sales wants you to know gaming revenue at Microsoft is down 13%. I don't know what CC means. What's CC mean? Down 9% CC. What's that? Xbox content and services declined 12%, down 8% concurrent, maybe? On a strong prior year comparable with declines in first-party content and lower monetization in third-party, offset by growth in Game Pass. Xbox hardware declined. That's surprising, 13%. I'm going to be honest, as Benji, these are not strong results, especially hardware being down so much is not good this early. Xbox needs a significantly better performance, hopefully a much improved first-party lineup. No shit. I'm less worried about the overall gaming revenue. They are down, but that's expected. Well, the gaming revenue makes no sense anyway, because who's going to buy fucking games for the goddamn Xbox when you get them all on the goddamn Game Pass? But I want to see, what are we talking about? He says Game Pass was up. It's easy to make his profit when you don't invest in making games. Yeah. I want to see the game. Let me see what there's some about Game Pass, because it makes sense. Game Pass would be up. I don't know what to type. Earnings, Xbox earnings, Game Pass. Let's see. Nothing coming up. You don't get Evil West or Callisto Protocol in Game Pass. What if you want to play those and you only have an Xbox? Sure. But you're not wrong, Fupy, but this idea that, here's the deal. The obvious assumption is Game Pass would cut in drastically to the games that are on sale that are on Game Pass, of course. But I also think there is this other effect, which is probably very similar to if you watch a lot of content on Netflix or Amazon or whatever, which is when you have that much content going out to a movie, it's like you have more options now. So it would make total sense to me that the company would see third-party sales down as well, not because there aren't people that have Xboxes that want games that aren't on Game Pass, but I would say that number is meaningfully reduced when you have conditioned your core audience that there's going to be something on Game Pass you'll like. It may not be Evil West, it may not be Callisto, but there's something and that's cheaper and it's easier. And so I think that has an effect as well. But I don't see where anyone's talking about the earnings. Let's see. Xbox earnings call 2023. Let's see what we get. Jaffe, is it worth getting Gotham Knights 50% off? I would say it is. I mean, if you're saying it's $29, I'd buy it for $29. I don't care if it's 30 frames a second. Okay, let's see. Here we go. The Verge has it. All right, let's take a look. Well, it's not hard to sell consoles without games because you have games. You have tons of games on Game Pass. But it is hard to sell consoles if you mean without dramatic first-party games that are exclusive. I would agree with that. Okay, here we go. They just posted they made $52 billion. An net income of $16 billion, revenues up 2%, income net has dropped 12%. Let's see, PC, fuck you, nobody cares about that. Okay, Xbox is down this quarter. Xbox hardware has decreased. That is weird, by 13%, but not really, because why would you buy it if there's no new games? Microsoft says this was content and service revenue decrease was related to strong prior year comparable. The hardware revenue decrease was driven by lower price and volume of consoles sold, which means Microsoft sold less SX consoles over the holidays than it did at higher prices in the same period in 2022. They dropped its Xbox Series X to $249 for the holidays. This time last year, Microsoft said X Pass had grown to 25 million subs, but the company hasn't provided an update since then, and there's no mention of new numbers today. That could be because CEO Phil Spencer revealed in October the growth has stalled on the console side. We're seeing incredible growth on PC, on console. This is what he said. We already talked about this a couple months ago. Spencer revealed Game Pass will stay. Okay, but what? Okay, so I don't know if Game Pass is up or down. Benji says it was up, but I'm not seeing that anywhere. So, but anyway, am I going to stream Hogwarts Legacy? No, I don't plan on buying Hogwarts Legacy. But yeah, on that, whatever. It's like ultimately, this is why I sort of kicked off the stream talking about how out of patience I am with Game Pass and with Microsoft, because Game Pass is, to me, the future of the industry. Game Pass is brilliant. It's wonderful, but it only works if they fulfill the promise, which they haven't done very well, which is to say, put out fucking bangers that are exclusive. They can't seem to do that. So to write the obituary on Game Pass and say, see, I told you it wouldn't work. It won't work. It's like saying I built a movie theater, but nobody came. It's like, yeah, you got to have movies. It doesn't mean that movie theaters are bad. It means that you're not providing the content that drives the mechanism. So we'll see. I hope they turn it around. I'm not expecting much tomorrow. I will be streaming it. Ravenos, I don't even want to get into that. I don't want to get into that because you don't know that. He says, Jaffe, Game Pass cannot make a profit unless games get smaller and cost less to develop. I'm sure to some extent that's true for some games, but you don't know that. You have no data of that, right? If Starfield comes out and is the next Skyrim, and the only place, it's not sorry math exists. Math exists, and in math existing, you have to factor in variables that you can't know right now. So if you're talking about Game Pass today, you're right. But the Game Pass promise is Call of Duty for free, Starfield if it's the next Skyrim, the next big game from the Indiana Jones game, on and on and on and on. Okay? If that delivers, then the math changes. But I would agree with you right now that the math doesn't work only because they haven't delivered the second part of the data. Your data is 10,000 jobs lost. Well, that's not smart, Salvador. I love you, but that's not smart. Those jobs were, all of tech has been losing jobs. Meta lost a bunch of jobs. Microsoft lost a bunch of jobs. There's like 5 huge tech companies that's laid off tons. But also a lot of those people, according to the reporting, were performing people. They were shutting down departments, entire departments, like their AR department. And they just now today are investing $6 billion in ChatGPT, OpenAI. So it's not like they're going under. They're just going, look, we're adjusting where we're putting our priorities. The former head of PlayStation, Sean Layden, said Game Pass financially can't work. Surely he knows something. I have quoted Sean on that many, many times. Sean was talking about there are only 200 to 300 million people who play console games. And over the course of time, that number from the PS1 days till today has not changed, right? And so he's saying if that number doesn't move and the budgets keep going up, because you've got a ceiling at 300 million players, you're not going to be able to make something like Game Pass as it is now sustainable. But when I keep saying the future of the industry is something like Game Pass, the hope is that with more chance taking that is possible, you're able to create games that bring in and expand that 300 million to a lot more people. Like, I don't know if what Amy Hennig is doing right now is going to work at all, but her Captain America Black Panther game is all about going, how can we bring these AAA values and big production and big set pieces, but make it playable for everybody? Now, if that works, suddenly maybe you're talking about a huge group of players that are going to come swarming in, right? So I think if you really want to have the discussion with me, you can't come at it like a fanboy and go, it's not sustainable. Man, you have to understand there's a lot of plates being spun, a lot of balls in the air, and a lot of it is a lot of the way those balls spin, the direction they spin, the speed which they spin, will determine the variables that you plug in to determine if it's sustainable or not. But, you know, certainly, if you're taking it at face value today, yeah, because they're not releasing any fucking games. Okay. I wanted to address this. Imagine getting Game Pass just to play Call of Duty. Ha, ha, ha. What are you, 5? What are you, fucking 5? I would get Game Pass just to play Call of Duty, so laugh at me, Deonta. If you're telling me that I can spend $15 a month on a game that I usually play hardcore for about 2 to 3 weeks and then don't go back to it, or I can spend $70 to own it, yeah, I would spend $15 and then cancel Game Pass if there was nothing else to play. I'm not sure what's confusing about that. Okay. Yeah, Stoner Joe says he got Game Pass for Halo. So, you know. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it with you guys. Look, I kicked off this stream saying tomorrow's, it's not $180 a year for Call of Duty. It's $15 a month. You don't have to buy it for the whole year. Buy it for a month. Oh, there are people in Discord? Okay, I'll get them in a second. Look, here's what I'm saying. I kicked off the stream though going, tomorrow's Xbox showcase, which I will stream, sounds, as much as I'm excited about Starfall, I don't know what it's called anymore. Starfield, Redfall. And I am, nothing they've said is going to be there tomorrow has me excited at all. But I will be streaming the direct tomorrow, Print Screen. Listen, I joke about Game Pass being bad, says Carlos. Thanks for the super chat, buddy. But I haven't touched my Xbox other than finishing old games I own. Indie games are cool, but where are the big boys? Oh, I mean, I agree. I absolutely agree that they need some sexy heat, but that's any subscription service. That would be like you saying Netflix can never work, Disney Plus can never work. Well, yeah, if they don't have the reasons people subscribe to them. Anyway, but thank you for that, Carlos. You know, I appreciate it, buddy. Let me get Rith Danny is over on the Discord. Let's see what old Rith has to say. Rith, it's Jaffe. What's going on, bud?
Oh, hey, Jaffe, can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up?
Hang on. I can't remember what I was actually talking about because now I'm listening to your chat going crazy about Game Pass, and I don't understand why does no one think Game Pass is good in your chat. I would say I'm a solely Game Pass player, and I joined in for initially Halo Infinite, and I'm still here a year later, happy, chappy. I'm not as hardcore a gamer as you guys, so I don't play like all the latest games that come out every month. I think truthfully, if the chat's going to be honest with themselves, they don't play the new game that comes out every month.
Some of them do, but look, man, I'm with you. I have never once regretted my Game Pass subscription. From the minute I subscribed till today, I've never canceled it. There's always cool stuff to play. And I love it, but I'm okay. I mean, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know why you didn't see let's put it this way. You didn't see these same people out there beating the drum when Stray came out as a day one PS Plus title. I think at least a meaningful percentage of it is fanboy shit. But I think another part of it is, you know, certainly there is an issue that Microsoft is dropping the ball on bringing exclusive compelling content for the mainstream to that service. And in that, the whole thing could collapse if they don't get their shit together. And they have had years to get their shit together. And why the head, whatever the guy's name is not calling Phil Spencer out and saying, dude, enough. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck they're doing over there.
I would agree. I think if you jump onto Game Pass, it's most likely for a first-party title. Otherwise, you could just get it on Steam or whatever. But I think you join for the first party and you stay for everything else. Every week has been really good. Every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You were talking about an interview earlier with Sean Layden where he says like Game Pass isn't sustainable. Wasn't that the same interview where he was said that the way Sony games are going,
right,
that's not sustainable?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're according to him, if that 200 to 300 million player number doesn't increase, it's not sustainable anyway. Whether now, Game Pass will probably get to the cliff that it falls off faster. But yes, if they can't bring in a lot more people, there's going to come a point. And look, you see it now. I mean, you see it now with these service-based games that Jim Ryan is greenlighting because he knows that they're going to have to they are already pivoting. I sent out a tweet the other day. If I'm Jim Ryan, at this point, the best thing I could do with my money is go out and buy Second Dinner, which are the guys who make Marvel Snap. They won't get the rights to Marvel Snap, but that is a small company that has a track record of making phenomenal, incredibly lucrative service-based card games. And to have a console and a PC and a cell card game based on the PlayStation IP, it would print fucking money. That's where they're going. They're going to have to, because that's where the money is. It doesn't mean they'll ever walk away from the single player stuff, but you're absolutely right. You can't quote Jim Ryan's anti-Game Pass without also bringing up the AAA first party stuff is also not sustainable.
If just because you said the best thing Sony could do with their money would be buy that studio, what would you say is Microsoft's best play, and what would you say Nintendo's best play is for the future?
Well, Microsoft's best play is to get Activision if they can, but it's not necessary. But if they don't get Activision, they still need to go get a couple of other dependable studios. Whether I don't think they'll get Capcom, but they need more studios. But the bigger play for them is to clean house when it comes to management. I have been saying this for 2 years, specifically as it relates to management. I don't understand how they don't see this as a chronic problem. So for me, they clean house and they get some people in there. I don't think they clean house with Phil Spencer. I think he brings a lot of value. But I think when you're talking about his actual commanders that lead this shit and get these games done and greenlight them and all that shit, get them out of there. Enough is fucking enough. And as for Nintendo, I mean, they're printing money. I don't know. I mean, I think Nintendo, Nintendo, I don't know. I mean, here's what I can tell you. I can't speak that much to Nintendo. I used to be a very hardcore Nintendo fanboy, and I still am. But the Switch has not, believe it or not, I know a lot of people love the Switch. I appreciate it. I own one. But the Switch has not brought me the Nintendo magic that I got even from the Wii U. I enjoyed my Wii U more than I enjoy my Switch because the Nintendo games felt, I know it sounds dumb and I can't articulate it. I can eventually. I just haven't thought about it much, but they felt more magical to me. They felt more Nintendo to me. The new ones just, to me, don't have that same sense of just magic. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what I mean. You could kind of, make a story and say, oh, it's because Iwata's gone and Miyamoto's just kind of phoning it in, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know what it is. And maybe it's just me, but I haven't enjoyed it anywhere near as much as the Wii U. It just feels like Apple after Steve Jobs to me these days.
I've got one last question before I leave you. You've been so good, thank you. I've got a 5-year-old daughter, and she's never once asked for the Switch because she plays the typical games kids do these days, Minecraft and Roblox. Of
course.
Should I push her towards...
Why?
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Maybe it's my own nostalgia.
Well, I mean,
okay.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. It doesn't matter. Okay. Father to father. I mean, I grew up with my kids. When my kids grew up and I was raising them, I would read books to them every single night. We would go to the bookstore all the time. It was a big part of their childhood, and they can't stand reading. Neither one of them. Right. We watched movies all the time. They don't like movies. They like YouTube. As it relates to video games, I gave my son my 3DS, and every now and then back in the day, he would play, there was some tropical island game, some Nintendo kind of, it wasn't like Animal Crossing, but you kind of made your own people, and it was like a little drama happening on the island. And he played a little Zelda, but even with that, so he was exposed, and he was exposed to all the shit I played. And even with that, they play Minecraft, and they play Roblox, and they play Fortnite, and they play Among Us and Jackbox. They play all the social shit, and it's free, and their friends are on Discord or on their phones, and it's not the same anymore. I think the alternative for a lot of people that used to be core gamers, they kind of got funneled into this other direction, and it's good enough for those guys. So that's what I would say. So give it to, I mean, the point is, give it to her. It won't make a difference. She might love it, and that's nice that you've given her something that she loves, but it's not going to steer her that way if she doesn't want to go that way.
Yeah, I'm also dead cheap, so I'm not sure if it's worth buying one unless she,
unless she expresses interest. Not my kids haven't given a shit about it. So all right,
I just thought it was curious because she doesn't know who Mario is. She knows Sonic
God,
movie. Yeah, she doesn't know.
Well,
she doesn't know Mario.
Does she want to see the movie? Does she want to see the Mario movie?
I showed her it, but she didn't. I don't think she had any interest because she has no relation to the character. But she knows Sonic because of the movie. I will be taking her to the Mario movie.
Yeah, show her the shit you love. I think what she'll take from it is, my dad's a passionate guy that has interests that he adores. And if nothing else, what she'll learn is that's a good thing to have in your life, whatever those interests for her end up being.
Thank you, Jeffrey. It's been a great episode.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Let me check this chat. Have you checked the children? Okay. Ring Fit Adventure. Oh, I have that. Clearly, I don't use it. I need to, though. Okay. Well, fellas, there you go. That is Gabbin' Games for the 24th. Is that right? We got ourselves some Microsoft earnings at the very end. Got ourselves a little surprise. I'll be around. I may very well do a stream later today playing Forespoken. I may do a I Love the Weird later tonight. If not, I'll be back tomorrow. But in the meantime, be well, be safe, and thank you guys for the memberships. Consider a membership. Thank you for the super chats, the super thanks, all that stuff. It means a great deal. And thanks for being here and hanging out and spending some time with me talking about the video games. Mods, thank you guys very, very much. Good to see you, Bukaki. Good to see you, RPG. And I will see you. Oh, and Bukaki wants you to know, if you don't stream Forespoken tonight, you're a racist and a misogynist. Oh, of course. Be well. Bye, everybody.